Hello and welcome to Chargers Talk 4630. I'm your host, Stacy, and I'm just here to talk to you for a few minutes. Not your usual podcast, but it's a question that I've been asked hundreds and hundreds of times. Maybe, I'm short with the answer, and I think from responses from people, they feel like it's a little more there that I'm not going into detail with, and the question constantly keeps coming up. It continues to come up all the time, and so I decide that I'm going to address it, and I'm going to open up a little bit and tell why and how I became a Charger fan, because I get asked it so often, all the time. No matter where I go, I get asked the question. So before we get started with it, I just want to thank all of my subscribers that continue to be loyal and support this podcast. And I also want to thank the new subscribers. They're constantly coming in. And I want to thank you so much for your loyalty, for your support, and glad that I'm able to offer you something that will make you want to come back as a Charger fan, and maybe not just as a Charger fan, because I talk about life lessons and all on this podcast as well. So I want to thank all you guys that subscribed and continue to hang in there with me. And so let's get right into this real quick. So the question I get asked all the time is, how and why are you a Charger fan in New Jersey? And it's really funny because I've been to Dallas and seen guys that are Green Bay Packer fans. And there's guys in New Jersey that are Dallas Cowboy and 49er fans. And I've been to Tennessee and thought everybody there was a Tennessee Titan fan. But I met some that were Tampa Bay Buccaneer fans. So even times I often wondered what the back history was behind it all. I never asked, but it did seem like over the years, so many people have asked me, how are you in New Jersey, but you're a Charger fan? I get those questions in conversations all the time. I travel a lot, so I go on vacations, and wherever I go, I rep the Chargers. No matter what country I go to, I wear my Charger colors and I wear my Charger jerseys. Even at the tailgate we just had last weekend at MetLife, I met so many people that I vibe with on X, and some watch my podcast. I was even asked a lot of questions, but eventually that one question always come back up. How are you a Chargers fan living in New Jersey? Even on the podcast yesterday in the chat room, and you can go there and still see them, the questions come up again. I've never asked that question to people. Maybe it's rare to see a Chargers fan in any other place than San Diego or LA, right? Maybe that's something that really intrigues people and they really want to know. So I decided today I'm going to do a short podcast because I can't give you the answer without telling you the backstory behind it. And hopefully you guys will appreciate it and be able to relate to it. So here we go. Why would a kid from Newark, New Jersey grow up to be a Chargers fan? A team all the way out in Los Angeles. I got to take you back to where I came from, back to what shaped me, because my story isn't just about football. It's about life. It's about struggle. It's about loyalty. It's about why I'll always ride with an underdog. I grew up in project buildings in Newark, New Jersey called Hayes Home. My parents didn't have good paying jobs. I came from a big family. I have 8 brothers, 5 sisters. So there was 13 of us in a 3-bedroom apartment. I shared my bed with 3 other brothers. The struggle was real. There were days when we went to bed with empty stomachs. I remember the start of the school year when we had no new school clothes. I remember failing gym class because I didn't have sneakers to wear on the gym floor. And while some kids in school had a few things, we had nothing. But let me be clear. This is no knock against my parents. They were great parents, loving parents, and they did the best they could, right? They struggled because they didn't have much themselves. And they got married young to start raising a family. They stayed together all their lives until God called them home about 8 years ago. From them, I learned what it meant to grind. I learned what it meant to stay loyal. I learned what it meant to stick things out no matter how tough things got. They taught me when problems come, you don't quit. You face them and you work together to solve them. That foundation, that shaped me. And it's why whenever I watch sports, I always found myself rooting for the underdog. I remember one fight in particular. Buster Douglas versus Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson was untouchable at that time. Everyone loved him. He was making millions. He was the champ. Nobody gave Buster Douglas a chance. But I rooted for Buster. The reason why? Because he came from nothing. He didn't make big money. He was a kid from Ohio who didn't have all the hype. He was just a man fighting for his shot. And that connected with me because I know what it's like to have nothing. I know what it's like to grind for pennies. I know what it's like to be told you'll never be anything. And when Buster Douglas shocked the world and beat Mike Tyson, that was a win for me too. That was proof that the underdog can win too. And that's the lens I've always carried. Even in my career in law enforcement, I saw men come out of prison and I tell them, what matters is what you do when you get out. You can quit or you can make something of yourself. Years later, I ran into a man who'd been locked up for 15 years. He turned his life around. He started his own business, and I was proud of him because that's what it's all about. Taking nothing and building it into something. So how does this tie back to football? Let me take you there. In that little apartment with 13 siblings, we only had one TV, and the picture was black and white back then. Whatever was on that TV, that's what we all watched. My mom was a diehard New York Mets fan. So that's how I became a Mets fan. No choice in the matter. See, my parents, through their life experiences and examples, and without realizing it, was teaching us how to survive and win in life. And nothing was going to come easy without putting in some hard work. So one day, my dad was watching football. The New York Giants was on. And me being competitive, I wanted to root against him. I didn't even have a football team yet. But that day, the Giants were playing a team with this lightning bolt down the side of their pants, and they were called the Chargers. So I told my dad, that's my team, and they're going to beat your team. And that day, the Chargers did beat the Giants. I got to talk some smack to my dad, but something else happened too. I fell in love with that lightning bolt. I fell in love with football. And in that moment, I said, this is my team. Now, let me make this clear. It would have been easy to pick the teams my friends were picking. Growing up, kids were choosing the dynasties, the 49ers, the Cowboys, the Steelers. Everybody wanted to roll with the winners. They wanted to flash those Super Bowl rings in those debates that we used to have, right? But me, I didn't want the easy path. I chose the Chargers, a team with no Super Bowl wins. Why? Because they felt like my life. That was me. That was what I was connected to. I grew up with nothing. I had to grind for everything I got. The Chargers, in a way, reflected my story. They were the team that was being overlooked. They were the team that people laughed at. They were the underdog. And I said, that's who I'm riding with. I'm the underdog. I ain't supposed to make it. I'm the one that's supposed to quit. I'm the one that ain't supposed to survive. I'm the one that's supposed to give up. And here's the thing. If one day the Chargers finally win a Super Bowl, when they raise that Lombardi trophy high, it won't be just their victory. It'll feel like mine too. Because I know what it means to fight when people say you can't, to grind when the odds are stacked against you, to stay loyal when everyone else quits. That's why I root for the San Diego, now Los Angeles Chargers. That's why they're my team. That's why I stayed with them through everything, through all the ups and downs, all the peaks and valleys. So the next time someone asks me why or how am I a Chargers fan from New Jersey, the answer is simple. I didn't choose the easy path. I chose the team that reflected me, my life. And that team has a lightning bolt running through it. So the truth is, as a kid, I didn't pick the teams that were always winning. That was too easy for me to do. I picked the one that spoke to me, that spoke to my life, that spoke to my journey, that reflected my life. And once you fall in love with the team, that loyalty sticks for life. So I hope those questions answer why I'm a Charger for life. Now you understand why I ride so hard for the Chargers. Now you understand why when I was getting DM'd about the team quitting, it really wasn't about the team that struck me inside. It's about the part that's saying quit. It's the part that's saying you give up. If you would do that playing on a PlayStation or Xbox, as soon as it get hard or you can't beat the other opponent, you slam the remote, you break the TV. I know people that have done it. You get upset. You end up getting into fights with people. The minute you give up and the minute you quit, I've seen people do that. That can spill over into your personal life. When tough times come, you have ups and downs, peaks and valleys. You have time when adversity hits. In real life, you have to face it and you have to deal with it. And it always feels better in the end when you stand there 10 toes down and fight through those battles. And when you come out on the other side, okay, you win. That's what it's about, winning in life. And if your team happened to be a winner too, that's just like icing on the cake. And that's my only point. Let's just win in life. Be good, be well, be safe, and bolt up.